It's Real Fit Radio with B
and J.LOU.
If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I actually don't have a quote today. I wanted to share something that I learned about what Bruce Lee said to one of his students when they tried to call him a master.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Don't ever call me master, because if you call me master, that means that I should die because there's nothing else to learn."
We are always on the same wavelength. It's like you read my mind, because that's exactly what I've been thinking about lately and just positioning myself for another level of self-development. But that is kind of unofficially a quote. It just wasn't, if he said it, yeah, they just didn't put it in there as an inspirational or motivational quote. But that's pretty cool. I totally agree with that, 100%. I think you never stop learning. And I'm constantly stretching myself, and I'm getting ready to position myself to learn something else. And those are just levels of self-development. Knowing that self-development is something that's constant in your life, I believe, to the day I die, is really important. If you don't, I don't want to say you become complacent, but it just don't even feel right to me. I need to constantly stretch myself. So Bruce and I are on the same level with that.
You tend to always be on the path of a lot of the things that I read or I come across. So it's not uncommon to share something with you and you was like, "Oh, this is confirmation. I was thinking this a couple years back."
And sometimes people stretch themselves in one way, and that's no dig on them. It's like, I've reached the goal, I'm fit, I'm making the kind of money I want to make, and that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm always looking for what area can I better myself in. The other thing I've been thinking about is sacrifice, because I think self-development and sacrifice, the two go hand in hand. People say success equals sacrifice, or sacrifice is coupled with success. Development requires sacrifice. Growth requires sacrifice. You hear all these different sayings and stuff, but when I think of self-development, I automatically know there's some sacrifices that are going to come into play as well, because there's going to be a level of discomfort at some point, or unfamiliar territory. I'm taking myself to school on something, or I'm putting myself in a position where I don't know.
Nobody likes to be the person that knows nothing. It's very uncomfortable.
It's the worst. And if you're open to that, that's the good part. The hard part is accepting that it's not going to happen overnight, because you just kind of want to, I need to hurry up and get this. And it's like, it's not a rush. You're not making it like, it don't matter how long. I don't want to be the person that doesn't know for too long, or hasn't gotten the basics down of whatever it is. If it's working out, I have a routine. When we're going to the gym, I do the circuits. So for some people, they're like, you got to trick your body after a while, because no, I'm here for maintenance. I'm a cardio that I'm getting out the way. I work this muscle. I'm not coming in here this week. I'm doing the ropes. But after 2 weeks or 30 days, you need to trick your body because it's become used to. Nah, I'm good. I like to create the structure of something and get it down where it's like a fine-tuned machine. Like, I'm consistently doing that before I start throwing some other stuff in there. So when you come in and you don't know, I feel like that's a vulnerable position for me. And then the next thing is, okay, at least if I get the basics down, I don't have to be a pro at this or be the best, but I've got the fundamentals down and I'm okay with that. And then I'll just get better with the consistency and time. And then sometimes that's not your strongest area, but I've grown in it. It's a skill set I have now. But somebody may be able to do it better than me, but I know the basics of it and I can do it if I need to. So those are things for me for self-development. And then the sacrifice, I don't even want to go all into that. I'll just throw it over there for you to touch on a couple of things, but that's what we're pretty much talking about.
I've always said for myself, the moment that I can't learn something else, and I know it sounds morbid, but take me off the planet, because I just feel like as long as we're here, we're supposed to evolve and develop into something different, or lack of better words, better. I'm in a position right now, I think we both are, where we're learning something new. I'm trying my hand in production and engineering, and even though I have 8 to 10 years now in music, I've been around people who do engineering or producing. I never thought in a million years I'd be the person in the driver's seat having to do it. But due to recent events, COVID and everything else, just life happening, you forced to reinvent yourself again. So with that being said, I definitely understand how uncomfortable it feels. Like, I allude to what I do with video games a lot of times. When I'm playing one game, I like to focus on that game so I can learn the buttons, because if I try to play too many at one time, I forget how the buttons work for one. So it's like I have to perfect this. So I'm going into the production and engineering, and while I do understand some of the fundamentals, I get frustrated because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm having to learn this and go to class via YouTube, learning what all this stuff means. And it's like, damn it, I just want to know the buttons already so I can get good at it. But like you said, you can't rush that process in order for you to get it. And then you'll get to a point where you will know, oh shit, I can really do this. Or I can do this, but I'm still going to pass the buck. But I need to know just enough. If something happens, I can still keep the ball rolling. And I know you said sacrifice. Well, that just goes without saying. There is nothing in life that we do that doesn't require some form of sacrifice.
The need for self-development or self-improvement can come out of lack of knowledge, discomfort, a desire to be better in a certain area, or just overall you wanting to learn more. Because lack of knowledge and wanting to learn, I say two different things. Lack of knowledge is sometimes like the turnaround time for this, like you said, with your production and COVID. It's like, this is stopping what I normally do. So I don't have knowledge in this area. I need to do this. So that's lack of knowledge. But wanting to be better, we can use the podcast, for example. It was fine when we first started doing it, but you said, you know what, I'm going to take myself to school a little bit more. I think I can get this to sound better. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out. Hence, the quality got better. The sound was more solid. And then you got it down to your editing time. Oh, it's shorter because you're using different programs. And that was just because you desire to get better and have a better quality of product. You didn't go and say that it wasn't lack of knowledge. It was your desire to get better, because we still could have put the product out.
Yeah.
It didn't sound bad, but it wasn't what it is now. And I believe even now you're looking into things and we talk about how we can make it even better. And self-development is attached to both. Discomfort with working out. You start looking at maybe more efficient workout schedule. You want to be more fit. Discomfort is I'm unhealthy. Well, I can't do the things I used to do, or I'm uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable weight for me. I've heard through conversation and talking to somebody, and it's like, I'm just uncomfortable at this point. I know I need to lose weight, to get in there, some self-improvement. And then sacrifice comes right in there, because where do you find the time to do all this stuff with life happening, or the commitment? I don't have the time to work out, but I'm committed to it and I'm going to find the time. I really don't have the time to sit and learn a whole new program or try to get in the producing lane, but I'm going to create the time, and I'm going to have to purchase this equipment, because what I'm doing over here requires that I have it. Out of this whole shutdown and stuff, or me not being able to have access to an engineer on a regular basis because of the delays and life happening for them too, I got to take myself to school. So I'm going to sacrifice this now. You go and work out, or you going to do Jeet Kune Do throughout the week, but you might have to scale back and incorporate something else in addition to the entrepreneurial endeavors you have and making music. So if you're not in the process of growing, or I don't want to say ever changing, but you're constantly stretching yourself. It could be with something as simple as, I like this dish from this restaurant, but it's not. Remember, they took the pasta off the menu for a while, and we'll have to find another place. And then I said, oh, I like the fish at this place, and couldn't get to it with stuff shutting down. I said, I'm going to learn how to do this at home. And I started messing around with some different seasonings, because I was trying to get that recipe down, and we don't even go get the fish anymore.
You not only did you find a resolution for resolution, right word. Not only did you resolve an issue, you actually made it better for yourself, because you found a healthier
option.
Yeah. Because it's the same thing and it tastes good. It's just that you don't use the same seasonings and whatever the ingredients are for that particular pasta. You don't use that.
We don't have to drive over there. So many things but so many things come into play with it. But I think that
condensing time frame.
Oh yeah, just go right in the kitchen. But I committed to it, and self-improvement. Now I'm able to make this additional fish along with the other things that I'm able to make. I consider that a small thing, but money, time, all these things, especially with as you get older or just life. People say this pandemic, but I don't want to say we're always in a pandemic, but I think that as you grow or you mature, and maturity is not always coupled with you growing in age. You can mature if you implement the information you get. You can mature when you seek knowledge and you have an understanding of it and you implement it immediately. You're trying to better yourself. So I think that you're doing that all the time. I think if you're growing mentally, spiritually, self-development is right there. You're constantly doing that. And if you're not, I think it's kind of unfulfilling. We've talked about this. You see those interviews where a person is just saying, I've amassed the wealth, traveled, I've done this. They're unfulfilled. There's a different area, and maybe they haven't sat down and kind of did some soul searching that they can do some self-improvement in that has nothing to do with the money they have. It has nothing to do with all the trips they've taken. It's something else that they are not stretching themselves in, or they haven't taken the time to hone what it is they need to self-improve. And now a quick moment from our sponsor, Journey of a Legend.
You. Yeah, you. What's your passion? Purpose. Every day you try, you succeed. The time is now. Journey of a Legend. It starts with you.
If you want to learn more or purchase merchandise, go to www.journeyofalegend.com.
Well, I think the way I would convey it is spiritual for me. A lot of times people that have all the things that you just said and they still have an issue is because everything was done for self. Most times when I see somebody who feels self-fulfilled is usually when they've done something for someone else. And whatever it is that they did, it helped change lives.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is that you're doing, if it doesn't help change someone's life, at some point you're gonna feel like this is for nothing. I gave you the example of Mike Tyson one day where he was having that interview and he was like, look at all this junk. This is nothing, man. At one point in my life, it was everything. But now I'm older and I just want to see my kids happy. I just want to see. So that's a form of self-fulfillment. If his kids go on to achieve great things and he knows that his life has something to do with it, he can die a happy man saying he became or she became a great person, you know, and everything that we do in-house, from the podcast to the type of music I put out to your creative consultant, everything is geared around helping someone else be better. So I think that self-fulfillment has a lot to do with that.
With self-development? Well, no, that's another thing.
Self-fulfillment, self-development.
That's another thing I was going to say.
I used the wrong word earlier.
Well, I was thinking when you were talking, and it's crazy. Even this podcast, the level of transparency you have to do this, barring the edits and all that stuff. And I know for you, when you edit, you try to keep it as natural as possible. You're usually taking out the or the pauses, or, you know, sometimes we're very repetitive. We may say the same thing over, but you want to keep it as natural because it's a flow. And the way we do it, it's almost if we were sitting having a conversation. You may correct yourself in the conversation, but you're still conveying information and you're sharing and you're learning, and it's very authentic. But even in this, it's some self-development is happening, because when I'm talking sometimes it's like, did I repeat myself? You know, you don't want to do a bunch of that because it's making editing harder for you. And I still want to make sure that I'm getting my point out. But when the mic is not there and we're just talking, I'm just getting my point out, whether I say it 3 different ways, we still are having a good dialogue. And I'm still hitting what I want to say to you. And we're still saying, oh, but what about this and what about that? And it's just very natural. So,
but I think that's what people are missing anyways. We're so hell bent now on, number one, being politically correct, and then 2, trying to aesthetically please everybody, you know, because we feel like, oh shit, if we said the same thing multiple times, that takes too long for them to look at it or hear it. So let's just cut it as much as possible. Like, we've had conversations about that where, you think this podcast is too long because, I don't want you editing. And I'll be trying to tell you, like, don't cut off your mind because you focused on the editing part. Like, that'll get done. Because everybody needs something. And I think no matter what we do and how we say it, it's something there for everybody. So if you did say something 3 different ways in order for somebody to get it, one person may have understood the first example you gave. The other person may not have understood any examples you gave until the last one. So it doesn't bother me in terms of that. And sacrifice comes with that. It's like, what am I really doing that I can't get this done?
It's a sacrifice of the false veil of perfection. It came out perfectly. It was seamless. The conversation didn't have any pauses, and they said the right words, and that was perfect there. And so the sacrifice of putting yourself out there with our thing where we stretch ourselves, you said in self-development and self-improvement is helping others. So we're stretching ourselves, and how can we do it? Well, we're going to have these open conversations in front of a mic. Thus, the podcast is born. But in that, you sacrifice your privacy. There's no privacy. I put myself out there, so now I can be critiqued. She didn't say that right. What is he talking about? Oh, he's not as articulate. That word was made up. You have people that are going to critique any and everything.
What you do.
So when you put yourself out there, that's a sacrifice right there. Like, I just put myself out there. Like we say people do when they post on Instagram or something, they can come for you in those comments. But for the greater good, the part of the self-development and the sacrifice is, or the self-improvement is, I stretch myself. I put out what I feel was for the greater good. I wanted to get this information out there. We want to do this. And I will sacrifice the area of possibly being ridiculed, critiqued, whatever. Because we have those conversations amongst each other. But now we're having them live and not so much uncut, but Lou, you don't cut too much.
No, not really.
Yeah, they'll hear when you say, oh, you'll say this, or like, oh, I did that. You'll leave those things in there. And I'm just like, you could have chopped that out. And you're like, why? It was a conversation. It's a part of it, So the choice to make necessary sacrifices can, I believe, equal success, not to the world, but success to the goal. The goal of this was to get it out there. So we won because we're planting seed. The goal was to have a consistent routine. But you haven't lost any weight, but I feel better. So you won. And you put the necessary sacrifices in play where I'm trimming time from this and that, or I'm making time and I'm still taking care of this and that. I might go to bed later. I might have to wake up earlier.
What you saying, that brings up one of the points I wanted to make. Well, not wanted to make. It actually came from what you just said. And I think because people, I ain't gonna say people nowadays, but people don't necessarily have any direct goals, or anything they're striving for. So you can't really self-develop or self-improve in anything or sacrifice anything if you don't necessarily have any goals.
You're just all over the place.
Yeah. If you just like, if you sat down with somebody and you was like, so what do you want to do? Like, what's your goals? And you say, I don't know, then there's no need for self-improvement. I mean, it's always a need for self-improvement, but you wouldn't even know what to improve in because it's nothing you're aiming for. It's just, you're just living your everyday life and it's nothing that you want to get better at.
And that's where that unfulfillment can come in because
That's
it's just
exactly
like
what I'm talking
you're
about.
all over the place. You don't feel like you really achieved anything. And those are personal goals.
And you don't start thinking about that till you get older. When you start slowing down and you have more time with yourself, you're like, what the hell did I really do in this lifetime? That's when you start seeing people just giving away money and shit because it's like, I just want to help somehow and money is all I have to offer. So I'm just going to start giving it away to charities, and they don't do no research on the charities, none of that. It's just like, I'm going to give it away. I'm not saying that's everybody, but I definitely feel like it's a lot of people that's walking around that don't have any direction of what they want to get better in this life. So it's just like, well, how do I self-improve or self-develop, and what am I sacrificing if I don't have anything to sacrifice for?
Right. You see all these people that are philanthropists. Is it a tax write-off thing that's happening? But it's like philanthropy, or I'm starting charity, and no dig on that. Because I think that's
why
great.
I said it ain't everybody.
Well, you said it earlier when you said that sometimes, like, a lot of our things are attached to just helping people, helping in whatever capacity we can. I feel unfulfilled when what I'm doing is just for me. that was one of the hardest things. We go back and forth, but it was explained later. It was like people work out for health purposes. That's how I want to, as opposed to the aesthetics of it. I'm working out because I want my butt to be like this, or my waist, like the waist training. No dig on anybody that's doing it. But for me specifically, I was like, how does me waist training help my husband, my son, my daughter? But a healthy heart does. So when it was put in a different perspective, me eating better, I develop health-wise inside out. I can walk with them. I can run. I can hang out, whether we're climbing flights of stairs, shopping, or at a museum or whatever. That helps my team, because if I wasn't, by the grace of God and in good health, that affects you guys.
Right.
But the other part of it, when it's like, do them squats, round your butt out, how your back muscles look, it's based on the individual. If that's some self-development or those are goals for them, that's fine. But for me, it hit different, because I just was like, that's like on the back burner. I can move around, keep it cute. My clothes are nice. I haven't gotten to a point where it's like, whoa, like I've had conversations where it's like, my clothes are getting really expensive. And I'm just like, well, what's the problem? Because I'm getting bigger. If that was an aha moment for them, and it's like, I need to slow it down, because I was in a size 10 at one point, and now I'm in a size 16, and it's hitting my pockets. Remember I said the self-development or self-improvement can come out of discomfort.
I'm glad you're hitting it from a different angle, because
come.
I don't want to get it misconstrued like you're not supposed to do anything for self.
Right. So self-improvement, like I said earlier, can come out of discomfort or lack of knowledge or just a desire to be better. I've already said that, but I'm just saying it again. Somebody says, like, I'm a size 16 now. I was a size 10. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. And my clothes cost more now. I didn't.
But you have been around those that know about being uncomfortable and don't do nothing about it.
Oh, that's fine. That's their thing. They're professional complainers. This is what I do. I get up, I talk about it. I don't do anything to change it. And it's Monday. Step and repeat. Tomorrow we'll do the same thing. And hopefully, if you haven't, you might want to start having fewer of those conversations. Those are toxic. You start feeling like, what the hell? This is insanity. I hear you talk about the same stuff all the time and you do nothing. It's starting to affect me. I'm feeling like this is crazy. I don't want to be a part of this roller coaster ride, because we're going nowhere fast. This is crazy. So self-development or identifying areas to get better. That's a great thing too. And committing to it. Because you can identify something and you just don't have the tools yet to attack it.
Yeah.
Like we were producing, if you didn't have the financial means at that point, or you searched for the different equipment and stuff, but if that was something that it's like, I just can't do that right now, that wouldn't be like a bad thing. That's like on the to-do list when you're able to. But you may say, I got to start stretching myself and sacrifice by creating some time to look for someone else that's available. That discomfort of you not being able to get the projects out in a timely manner. Now you're having to stretch yourself in another area. And that may be just self-development or self-improvement, or you need to find somebody that's more efficient. And I don't even know if that will fall under self-development. That's just you having to find another option.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But ideally, the whole basis of what's been on my mind is just, I have to go back to school now, and not school really, but creating the structure again, like the basics of it, making sure the machine is fine tuned because of things that have happened. The delegation of certain tasks are not being completed. So you got to jump in there and say, okay, this is not happening the way that I'd like for it to. So let me get in here and see if I can do it myself. So now that's where the self-development, or I may have to connect with someone and sit with them as they do it so I can watch. If I can't get to them, it may be a one-time fee type thing, but those things are happening. And that happens a lot in business.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, business.
We just don't see it.
Man, I applaud both employee and employer. We have been on both sides, and it's just crazy because I have a different understanding and a different respect, because on the employee side, I go in, I provide what I said I would, the service, whether it's customer service, sales, whatever it is, I do the job and you pay me, give me my money. That's it. My paycheck hits direct deposit on this day, or I pick my check up and my benefits, my 401k, it's all structured, fine-tuned. If I show up and you're going to give me my money, then I'm not going to give you the work. And I'm either quitting, or you need to make me stay, or I don't do something, you fire me. Everything's in place. When you're the employee, it's like you got to make sure the money's there to pay the people and the product is what it's supposed to be. And Employer. Yeah, sorry. Employer.
Nah, you good.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh, you're changing so many hats where the employee, I'm just the employee. I'm not here to do the product analysis or, let's look at this. Is it really doing what we said it's going to do? The quality control. And you got to do all that when you're over all of it, any business, all these different things. And it gets crazy. So I have a different understanding and a different respect for employers because they're just switching hats. They are human resources, the tech department, direct sales, quality control, the boss. They make the final decision. The person everybody runs to in the event that things go to hell in a handbasket. It's like, it's yours, but nobody's going to run to the employee about that. You may hear about it like, the product used to be good. It's not anymore. It's like, it's not. And you still take your call. You might be making a move to go work for some other place, but you don't have anything to do with the inner and outer workings of that company. A lot of self-development comes with that, or just being a good person. And I think those are all intertwined too. Self-development, personal growth, sacrifice, just the success and stand out.
Personal growth is definitely a part of everything we just discussed, because when you really think about it, by you developing yourself and growing, you're sacrificing a potential, believe it or not, friendship in that regards. Because think about it. Let's say the old you was always agreeing with your friend or your husband or girlfriend or whatever because you didn't want to make them mad, but you knew the information you had would make them better, but you wanted to, keep the peace in the house. But then all of a sudden you start growing, you start reading all these books or seeing interviews or whatever it is that you use to grow yourself, or you going to church, you hear a sermon, I don't know, and all of a sudden you get this aha moment, and it's like, dang, I've been doing this wrong. I thought I was helping by not saying anything, but in actuality, I should be saying something. So now the development there is you learn a new piece of information. The sacrifice there is there's a chance that there can be a rift in a relationship. And I ain't talking about just marriage and nothing. I'm talking about friendships, whatever, business relationships, whatever you choose your relationship in. You start saying some stuff that may ruffle some feathers because it's like, well, you need to hear this because it's going to make you better. You may not like it. You may cuss me out after I say this. But if you are a person that wants to be better and you actually go back and you process the information given to you, then you'll be like, dang, I didn't like it in the moment because no one likes to be critiqued. But when I really sat down and I got past myself, I realized you wasn't doing nothing but helping. So self-development and improvement and sacrifice falls right in line with that. It just depends on what you think the sacrifice is for you. And I think for that type of stuff, it's like the blowback from you saying something to somebody.
Or the friendship, and you're taking the risk
the friendship
too.
Itself.
You committed to taking the risk because you're growing and you want to jump out there and say something, but you also have opened yourself to possibly sacrificing a friendship or sacrifice, you being misunderstood. There are so many different types of sacrifice. It just depends on the individual and what it is. Like, I sacrificed my time. I sacrificed being over here. So that's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
When I make it a point to say something, I've already committed to this could be a very touchy situation, and I'm willing to sacrifice the comfort that we have had for all these years of just never having an issue or a disagreement. So I'm willing to make that sacrifice, and it may become bigger because it may change the dynamics of the friendship, or it could end the friendship depending on how the weight of what I'm saying and how they receive it. They may feel attacked, or you're saying that you guys are on different levels. I've had those issues in my earlier years when I decided to stretch myself as an individual and be better in all areas. The quality of my conversation, how I spend my time, how I spend my money, who I surround myself with. It started being a problem. And I lost some people along the way that I didn't think it was going to be a problem, but it became a problem because as I bettered myself, things around you begin to change. And I think that when you improve, the people around you don't always, and I don't want to call it an elevation, they may not be going where you're going. It doesn't mean they're down and you're up. You guys are just going in different directions.
Just in different parallel universes, basically. That's what I like to say. Or lack of better words, I'm going to Las Vegas, you going to Sacramento.
You know, they say you changed up. You getting brand new. You know, you acting different. And like, no, I'm not acting different. I'm growing. And I'm growing to the best version of myself, or how I feel I can be better to others. I'm not of any service to anybody having this little bit of knowledge. I'm not of any service to anybody just doing the basic stuff. That's for me personally. So
I never really understood the whole you changed up thing, because you wasn't doing the same thing at 10 years old that you was doing at 15. You not doing now what you were doing at 20 if you're, you know, in your late 20s or 30s. So the whole you switched up and changed up is right there with scripture. Sometimes people use things when it's convenient for them. They use those certain phrases, and it's like, come on, man, let's cut it out. Everybody changes, and it doesn't necessarily mean you went left because you decided to grow. I mean, I think everybody should change.
what do the old caterpillars say to the butterfly? You changed up. It's like, I just randomly thought about that. Like, that's a part of it. I mean, no, I just thought about it right now. I'm like, there's a caterpillar looking at a butterfly. You know, fucking changed up on me, you know? Wow.
You used to crawl the trees with me real slow. Now you flying now, bro?
Wow.
You flying? Oh, you got wings now? You fluttering and shit? Oh, you a symbol of good luck now.
Yeah. And it's like, you gonna be right here with me, man. Let me tell you what's gonna happen. I don't even want to hear that. I don't even want to know about that, though. I'm about that caterpillar life. I don't know what you gone over there, because you changed up, colors all on your wings, you fluttering through, you know, you so desired by everybody. I just thought about that randomly. How does a caterpillar have a conversation with a butterfly?
You know how long it took me to climb up this tree? You flying all up there in less than 10 seconds and shit. I envy you.
Yeah, you guys really, sorry about this.
Fool.
We would have this little crazy thing and just laugh about it. The change up. The caterpillar said to the butterfly, you changed up.
Did you make that up right now?
Yes, I was sitting there thinking about that. Like,
I thought you had some Aesop fable type moment
no,
where you heard somebody say that
I
shit.
literally right now was just like, dang, I wonder how that goes. The caterpillar's like, to the butterfly, you changed up. And there you have it, people. These are the crazy conversations, you know, that we have. But our podcast will probably be about 3 or 4 hours, because we'll turn the mics off and go in the kitchen and make some food and keep talking about this. Yeah, you know, I was thinking about. So this is the piece we want to give to you guys. And because we're always so broad and using our own examples of what's going on in our lives and things like that, instead of pulling stuff and talking about other people, we use us. And that's the part, again, like I said earlier, about our transparency, whether we're talking about business or Lou with production or him going into a new field. We don't get too heavy in it, but you'll always hear examples of things, or we'll say we don't want to name this person or that person, because we want to still kind of keep it on the focal point and not about people or situations. But there were a couple of things that I can kind of just narrow it down. The takeaway from this, if you're looking to like self-improvement, like where could I even start? You know, I like what they're talking about. There were 6 things that I've written down. I've seen just basic stuff where you could start if you're looking to do this or want to stretch yourself. And those are fitness and health. Hopefully you've listened to our other podcasts, but if you're new, finding your life's purpose, you know, or finding your passion, educating yourself in a new area, or learning a new skill set, you know, something that'll assist you with something you're already doing, or just going to a new area altogether. Improving personal relationships. You can challenge yourself with different things, creating routine, committing to doing an or meditating once a week, or reading an inspirational quote a day. These are very small things, because sometimes it just seems like it's a lot. And positivity was another thing. And when I said earlier, I started really looking at the conversation. It had to be more seasoned. What was I lending my time and my energy to? Those are huge areas of self-development improvement because that can change your life, how you feel, health-wise, all that. So those are just a few things that don't require money, courses, none of that. It's not something huge. Those are little places you can start that can grow you tremendously as a person. You'll feel better. I did. And hopefully you will if you pick one of those things, or maybe something that you already know you want to tackle. But self-development and sacrifice are what we're working on constantly.
Believe it or not, with those, I know as simple as they may sound, you do it long enough, you can't help but see a difference.
Yeah.
Or even feel a difference. You be like, damn, I can't believe just saying I'm great every day, or I'm gonna help somebody be great today, or whatever it is you're doing. You won't believe it until you try it, and then you realize, like, I don't even like when I hear I can't, or whatever it is that your goal is. So I don't want to go deep into too many examples, but you will definitely feel a difference if you do those small but huge items.
And you know from experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why when I was looking at the stuff and I'm like, oh, I do these things, and yeah, it can change your life. I'm still thinking about the caterpillar.
Oh yeah, you changed up. You got beautiful wings.
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well,
Let me fly.
yeah, that tickled me. 'Cause that's inevitable. That change is happening. I wonder, does it happen there? Some caterpillars don't ever change to butterflies.
No, probably not. Some of them probably don't.
Something for me to look into. Can it happen? Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, interesting.
Die prematurely for not believing. You supposed to go up the tree, but you too busy being on the ground, and now you didn't got stepped on.
Yeah, now you guys, we are going. This is our side conversation. He's gonna have to edit some of this stuff out or whatever. You know, yeah, we're spinning as we keep talking about. Yeah, but that's all, folks. However, if you want to keep this conversation going, you have any suggested topics, questions, comments, concerns, you can always shoot us an email at realfitradio@gmail.com. Our podcast drops every Monday. You can catch a snippet of our latest one on our Instagram at realfitradio. If you're not following us, you definitely should be. You can catch us on all the major platforms. I say this all the time. If there's one that we're not on, let us know. As always, we hope this inspired, impacted, or empowered someone. Until next time.